In my previous video, I mentioned that I was in the process of making over my friend's apartment, and I also said that we would start with the bedroom. Before I started the planning, of course, we discussed what she wanted. She had some ideas, but she was still struggling to decide what design or what colors she would want to use in the space. So obviously the room was completely empty, which was great, so I had a nice clean slate to work with. You can see there were white walls which needed to be changed, so I was really happy to start the whole process. She wanted to have yellow walls in the room. That was our starting point. I talked about in a previous video how to create a color palette for a room, and I mentioned that you always need to have a starting point that will determine your color palette. In this case, it was the yellow walls. She wanted a really bright yellow, but I convinced her to use a more subtle mustard yellow, which looks more high-end and not too much in your face. We picked Yellow Pink by Little Green, and she really wanted to keep the ceiling, the door, and the baseboard white. For those, I chose Steam by Benjamin Moore, which is a soft white color. So that's going to be the main thing in the rooms. The ceiling, baseboard, and doors will be painted with Steam, and the walls are going to be a different color. As usual, I created a mood board for the space. We are going for yellow walls, and I would like to do some picture frame molding on the walls. And I want to bring in a lot of natural elements, wood furniture, but also have some contrasting colors. I will paint the radiator black. It will give such a good contrast since we will have the yellow walls, and with the black radiator, the room is just gonna look great. But I don't want the room to be plain and too neutral, so we'll bring in some colorful decor pieces. We will get IKEA wardrobe, but I will paint it and make it a little bit more custom. So I can't wait to start the whole makeover. I'm sure it will take a long time to finish. After I prepped the walls and the ceiling, I started to paint the baseboard, the door, and the ceiling with Steam. I went with a flat finish. I decided to use flat or matte finish in all rooms. I don't like to mix them up, to be honest. To get a nice coverage, I applied 2 coats.
Maybe I never knew what I really wanted. Looking back, I can see it's all clear. I'm still a kid trying to act like they all taught me, but nothing makes sense anymore.
So I'm quite obsessed with wall moldings. I did some kind of paneling in other videos. You just get a high-end look. The walls look beautiful, it's cheap and really easy, and you can even do it without power tools. This time I decided to do picture frame molding. For this project, of course, you will need the molding trims. Obviously, you could use a miter saw or hand saw to cut the trims, but it's really time consuming, and probably your neighbors wouldn't be happy to listen to the sound of the miter saw the whole day, since you have to make a lot of cuts. Instead, I got this miter shears from Amazon for like £24. I will link it down below if you want to check it out. It's good for soft wood and plastic. In this case, I used these pine trims, which were easy to cut, to be honest. You can cut different angles, super easy and fast. Of course, you need to measure your walls and decide how you want to place the trims on the walls. You need a level to make sure that everything is in the right place. I still used one to double check, but I used a laser level that made the job so much faster and easier. I used No More Nails again to apply the trims. This glue is so strong, you don't even need to use nail gun to secure the pieces. I just used some painter's tape to hold them in place until the glue dried. But to be honest, even without the tape, the glue holds the trim in place. As I mentioned, I still use the level just to check everything is fine.
The fall is coming, I can feel it.
I decided to add a horizontal trim around the room, a little bit below the middle of the wall. So I applied those first, and then I started to work on the rest.
Tonight the whiskey feels stronger. Gasoline on hidden desires.
So for the top and bottom section, I measured where my frames should go. I knew the bed was going to be in front of this wall, so I wanted to do a bigger picture frame in the middle and two smaller ones on the sides. But you can do any design, there's no right or wrong, I just preferred it this way. I also knew the size of the bed, so I made sure that the middle frame is going to be roughly the same width than the width of the bed. First, I just used the tape to map out where the top pieces would go. I suggest you do that too if you are unsure how the wall will look with the molding.
Let it burn. Till all that's left is ash. Another vice, grab my old lighter. This cigar helps me slow down. Thinking back to all I loved and lost. My heart is full and aching strong. So I'll throw another load.
After I was done putting the trims on the wall, I used caulk to hide the gaps. This is really important so you can have a nice seamless look. I also used some wood fillers where the pieces meet in the corners.
Till all that's left is ash.
So we decided to use yellow pink by Little Green on the walls. They recently came out with this Remix range, which is a collection of leftover unwanted paints reformulated into a matte finish for interior walls and ceilings. They have developed blending techniques to produce upcycled paints in individual batches in 20 colors. So I decided to try this one. It's also a lot cheaper than their normal range, but I gotta say that I had to apply 3 coats to get a nice finish. Not sure if it was because I was rushing a little bit. Anyway, the color is beautiful, so I was really happy with the end result.
Let the days be past, days of trying. Give up the aim of perfection. Trust the simple ways and let it go.
As you can see, I didn't add molding on the wall because I knew the wardrobe and the chest of drawers will go there and would cover the molding anyway. I know it was not necessary to paint the area where the wardrobe will be, but I wanted to keep it nice and clean and I wasn't sure where it will be exactly.
The wind and wild spin around you. The feel of earth and sun ground and calm you. Feel the sand and song and let it go.
For the bed, we chose a beautiful pine king-size bed from the company called Get Laid Beds. We picked coffee bean color. I love that it's a darker color, so it gives a nice contrast. It has also an underbed storage, which is really great. You cannot have enough storage space. I decided to do a part 1 and part 2 of this makeover because the video would have been just too long. In the next part you will see how the room turned out, so make sure to subscribe and click on that bell so you won't miss out.